So welcome everybody, welcome back to the Building Performance Hub. It's been a while, not for some of you. We had an event this size again on Tuesday. I think it's good to see quite a few faces coming back to us twice in a week. So most of you know who I am. I'm Barry Cope. I'm the Group Managing Director of the Building Performance Hub, of the ATTMA, of SITMA, Special Advisor to various government working groups. For those of you who have not been, welcome to the Building Performance Hub. The Building Performance Hub was created from an idea. It was ATTMA and SITMA to some extent back then made a little bit of money, not much money, but enough money. And I was so fed up in 2018, 2019 of being the people after being tested, or after doing testing for so many years, to tell people that they were doing it wrong. We used to always turn up at the end of a project to our team back then. How can we be the people to make sure that they do it right? How can we be the ones that educate the construction industry to do it better? We invested, we made the commitment. It took me 4 different attempts to get it through our board of directors to convince them to spend the money, and eventually they agreed, and we then entered the biggest pandemic we'll ever hit in our lifetimes. So during the downtime, we built this place almost silently. We got the thing up and running, and now we have these really cool facilities that we call home. So my intention today is just to give you a bit of an update on the operations side of ATTMA and SITMA. So the first thing we're going to jump straight into is the ATTMA app. Now the ATTMA app is something we're incredibly proud of, and I quite literally just received an email from our developer there which has made a bunch of my slides out of date because he's done another update and pushed it out. So for those of you that have your iPads with you, you'll be able to check for an update, and you'll see another update on the ATTMA app. But the headline numbers, the ATTMA app use is up by about 20%, 20% more people using the app, and the excuses for using it are coming down and down and down. So one of the interesting parts about that is with our report auditing, we're seeing 50% less non-compliances when people are using the ATTMA app. So that's things like not taking enough data, things like the 50 pascals induced rule. You've got to have 50 pascals induced to take into account the zero flows. Taking photographs of deviations. It will also now allow you to take photographs of all of the stuff you need within the new CIBS ETM 23. So all the photographic evidence, if you choose to do that, you can do that through our app and store it on our servers here. So the non-compliances are coming down because we're just making it really obvious when something has gone wrong. So here's something that we added, and I think our developer will be really pleased to show you this. So the app now directly connects to the DM32, DM32X, the DM32 via Ethernet, DG8, DG700, DG1000, and the email I just got was the Infotech DM4, will now also directly connect to. So what you're seeing on the screen, maybe slightly hard to see, is live data moving onto the ATTMA app. So on this screen here, what you're actually seeing is a Retrotech DM32X, a DG8, and a DG1000, 3 different gauges, almost from 3 different manufacturers, all working simultaneously to live collect data. So we don't have to, you can mix and match all of your kit, and it will all work within the ATTMA app. Completely free for ATTMA members. And that's how we spend your money. So one of the key things that we've done in the last year is we started rebuilding our lodgement software from the ground up. So our lodgement software is built on an older platform called .NET, and .NET has been, Microsoft have been saying for the last 10 years that they won't be supporting .NET forever. They actually called it defunct about 10 years ago, but they've still been supporting it. So we're actually rebuilding the whole thing using the latest software, the latest coding, so that we can build the lodgement platform completely from the ground up. And that's really exciting because we're going to be able to do a lot more things, a lot more features, things like having APIs that will directly connect to your own software if you have a kind of software management stuff. It's going to be really very smart, a lot faster, a lot smoother, but it's going to take us probably 2 years to do. We don't have a team of developers, so we're doing it slowly in between our other jobs, rebuilding the whole thing from scratch, combining the whole thing with the SITMA database so that we can have this wonderful overarching platform that we do all of our work on. As well, in the last year, we've seen the regulation updates. So England, Wales, and now Scotland will do 100% testing as of the latest standards. So we have no ceiling room on where we go as ATTMA, the organisation, without improving the things that we've already improved. So I'm pretty sure we're the first country in the world to do that, 100% blower door testing. So with the CM, we're only expecting to see around about a 25% uplift in testing. A lot of testing was already done on big building sites anyway. Isn't going to be the big uplift that everyone's expecting. It's not going to double. And it depends, I guess, who your clients are and what your typical workload is as to whether you'll see that increase. But we think there'll be around about 20 to 25% more lodgements made over the next, it would take maybe 3 or 4 years for that to kick in for the new standards. So we're quite pleased with that. Northern Ireland is going to follow soon. We expect them to follow soon, and we're really we're working with them to try and make that happen. The other thing we've introduced last year was the all-new report audit system. So we've completely changed the way that we audit our members, and we've tried to make it a lot less hassle for you guys and a lot less time-consuming for us. We have this whole new process now where we can select an audit at random. We can select an audit using our algorithms, or we can just pull ones that look suspicious. They're substantially less time-consuming, and we're quite ambitious about how we collect them. So we can simply send a nice audit report or send a request. You'll receive an email from us, and then you'll receive an email that looks something on these lines, that it's been selected for quality review. And where it is really, really straightforward for you guys, if you're using and uploading all of your software and data, this page will fill itself in. So what we have is the first section is the test file. So you can drag and drop your test file. If you've already uploaded by uploading your test file, or you've used the ATTMA app, it will already be filled in and it will be green. So it will show the ATTMA file or the BLD file or the EXML if you use Fantastic. If you've already uploaded the envelope area, it will pick it off for you, or you can just select your envelope area. So that might be your SketchUp or a picture of your calculations. The only thing it won't typically have is these dimensional drawings, so we'll need you to upload your dimensional drawings, because as part of the report audit, we repeat your envelope area. It's the area with the highest margin of error, so we'll pick that off and we'll redo the SketchUp. And lastly, the calibration certificate. So we pick off all of the serial numbers that come from this software, and if we can match your serial numbers within this test data, we'll automatically pick them off and they'll all go green. So really, we'll send you an audit request. The most that a good chunk of people have to do is just upload some drawings, how they came to that envelope area calculation. And that's it. It shouldn't take you any more than a few seconds. Behind the scenes, we'll then go in and do some checks. We check about 400 different things, and Paul's written a very clever piece of software that checks all of those things, and then we're able to verify it's okay. Currently, there's about a 50% pass rate. 50% of you comply with the latest standards. The other 50% fail the audits. The majority of those we found are either envelope area based, and fail for us is quite a hard fail. So you've got to be within 3%. If you're 3.1%, fail. But also things like zero flow pressures. You've got to take 10 zero flow pressures. That's been in the reg since 2016, guys. 10 zero flow pressures. We fail probably 25% of our audits for not taking enough zero flow pressures. So we've got to make sure any of you that are ATTMA members, make sure you distribute that around your teams. Fail for us is quite a hard fail. So you've got to be within 3%. If you're 3.1%, fail. But also things like zero flow pressures. You've got to take 10 zero flow pressures. In the last year, we've also introduced our ventilation competencies. Well, we call it the Ventilation Commissioning Certification Scheme, which is quite a mouthful. We've still not come up with a better acronym for that yet. But we've moved quite firmly into ventilation. We were getting calls to be part of ventilation. Can you help us with ventilation? Why aren't people measuring ventilation flow rates? And I won't step on the two guys that are going to talk about ventilation, but it shows what happens when we don't police the system. So we've written a ventilation certification scheme, and as David alluded to, it only has 4 members, I think, 5 members. We've trained probably 100 people. There's 5 members. Why is that? It's not being policed. It's not being asked for. Won't steal your thunder too much. We've also written and delivered ventilation lodgement, which I'll happily give any of you a demo for. The idea of ventilation lodgement works just like the air tightness lodgement system, except you preload the data, similar to the SITMA system. You preload the data and we'll do all of the calculations for you. The other thing we did was we drafted this wonderful document called Technical Standard F1, for those of you that know our TSL1 documents very well. TFL1 is our ventilation document, and you actually see it looks incredibly familiar. And effectively, it's the ATTMA technical standard for ventilation, or for domestic ventilation commissioning. This has currently been written pretty much just by us, but I'm more than happy to make it into a working group to get the document over the line. There's still a few little bits that need tweaked, a few little bits that need finished, but there's well over 100 pages. And what it says is how we do ventilation commissioning. And I said that I would deliver a 10-point plan for 2024. And number 1 on my list, we need to make sure Northern Ireland gets to 100% testing. That means the entire UK will be 100% tested for blower door. That's an absolute goal. We're working really hard with domestic ventilation, and we're in a bunch of working groups. And one of the key things, one of the absolute targets that I'm really trying to get in is that we need to have domestic ventilation certificates act like air tightness certificates. They need to go into what will become HEM, which is the new version of SAP. That's the only way that we're going to get this thing fixed. The only way we're going to start doing a lot more ventilation measurements is if you need your ventilation commissioning test to get your EPC. It's the only way it's going to happen. So we are lobbying extra hard to make that happen, so that there is a hard stop to make sure that every home in the country has its ventilation commissioned properly. We've done it with blower door, and we're at 100% in blower door. We've got previous. We're going to make sure that happens with ventilation. Number 3 is we're going to continue to build the new lodgement system, which I discussed. We're using the complete new code, and even now I don't quite know what it's going to look like because we're throwing ideas around. And we're also really interested in your feedback, as is our main developer, Simon, our lead developer. If you have an idea for lodgement, tell Simon. Simon will come to your offices and listen to you if you've got an idea about how something should change. So the next thing, we also got the ATTMA app will include ventilation testing. So once we've really pushed the ventilation system as hard as we possibly can, it will go into the ATTMA app. So you'll be able to go and do your air tightness testing, your ventilation testing, all using just the same app, same program, same job. You'll be able to go in and do everything you need. So that's coming as well. We're going to develop additional testing methodologies within ATTMA, such as fire suppression. Fire suppression is a pretty big market. We're looking into that pretty seriously, and we also want that to be dropped into the ATTMA app as well. Fire suppression for blower door testers is a really good market because fire suppression relies on the building or the enclosure space being particularly airtight. It requires no different equipment than you already own. It's just a new, slightly different testing technique and a bunch of buttons to push to choose which gases and things you're using. So we're going to move pretty aggressively into fire suppression as well. One of the big things is we're going to move ATTMA towards, and there's a lot of letters there, but it's ISO 17024. So ISO 17024 is personnel certification. Currently, we operate with ATTMA with a 17065 model. And 17065 means we accredit the company, which theoretically means any of you that employ quite a bunch of people, if one of them goes rogue, we should kick the entire company out. The entire company should be gone. Realistically, that's just not how air testing is anymore. Realistically, you're trained on your own, you work on your own, you pretty much lodge on your own, and we feel that we should treat people like that. So we're going to be moving the ATTMA air tightness stuff to more closely to personnel certification, so they have individual responsibility for their certification and not kind of technically have the ability to take an entire company down should they go rogue. Ventilation will be doing the same, so we're going to make sure that happens. Ventilation is substantially easier to get that done. We've written it largely around 17024 as well. We're going to ensure all members conduct at least 5 documented hours of CPD per year to keep up with the latest standards. That may not happen next year, that may have to be bumped to 2025, but one of the things from doing all of the auditing we've done this year is that a lot of testers just aren't keeping up. So where things like the zero flow pressures have changed, there is no push for change. Simply attending this event means you've all covered that box. We're going to produce a lot of online content. You'll see we're filming today, so this will be able to be watched back. It's really not difficult to claim that 5 hours. Reading an email can be technically classed as 15 minutes. So it's not a long process. It shouldn't cost much money, but when people are individually certified, they also need to take some individual responsibility to make sure they continue to learn. The Building Performance Hub will continue to add the free CPD throughout the year. We're going to make sure this happens. We're going to put that content out there. We're going to make it completely free for ATTMA members. It shouldn't cost you a penny, and hopefully, there'll be days when jobs get cancelled. It's the perfect time to do some individual learning. The ATTMA technical standards are going to be refreshed. So they're going to contain much more information, a bit more guidance, and now we're not in the building regulations, a bit less politics. We'll talk about that another time over a beer later. So that's pretty much the ATTMA updates and the ATTMA plan going forward. You can see we're really busy. There's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes that you don't always see. SITMA, I don't know how many of you know the story behind SITMA, but SITMA was born from an idea between a web developer, an acoustic consultant, and me, a kind of compliance specialist maybe. That's what I call myself. We decided why can't sound testers, there's a lot of sound testers out there that just don't have a home. So we decided, let's do it. And the web developer went away. About a month later, I kid you not, about a month later, he came back and was like, here is a full web system, which we then called SITMA 1.0. Here is a full web system where testers can upload directly their information into SITMA and it automatically produces the report. And Reese and I were like, wow, oh my word, that's amazing. And way ahead of where we were in our thoughts. So we went away and we came back and we decided that this was a goer. And I said, before we do anything, I'm going to go out and I'm going to meet with local government. I'm going to go to local government and we're going to make sure we get the okay for this thing before we go live. But actually, quite literally had to beg heads of building control to continue accepting SITMA because we were on the right path. And we finally did it. We got UCAS accreditation. Woo! So that's incredibly exciting. We got SITMA is now a UCAS accreditation body, number 10579. That's the number we can proudly display below the UCAS logo. So first of all, thanks for the incredible speakers. We had Ian, I can't see where you all are. We had Nathan, we had Billy, and of course myself. I can thank myself. A quick thanks as well to the team, BCTA, SITMA, ATTMA. They put on an incredible job this week because we've held 2 events this week and I've been slowly dying through those 2 events. So they've picked up the slack where I've not been able to help in. So thank you to all of the team that'll be around here. And thank you all for coming to another pretty good event. Thanks so much.